Caleb Williams is talked about being the number 1 overall pick, and I can't imagine in a million years why you would do that. Russel Wilson is another story. Where is he going to end up? He says he's thinking only about Denver. I'm here to tell you he's lying. And baseball. Baseball. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? The uniform debacle now across baseball. We're going to talk about that as well. Coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, my dad, Tim. Oh no, hold on.
I'm no longer old.
Hello? No. Okay, I'll let him know. Thanks. That was your doctor. He just said you're old.
Wow. We're using props now for our little shot
all week. That was fun. You are old, though.
I am not.
You are ancient. And it's okay to be ancient. You were alive when Elvis was first starting. And we know this to be true. Your doctor just said so. We have a lot to talk about today. Speaking of being old.
Yes.
NFL.
Okay.
Chicago Bears, one of the oldest teams in the NFL, is about to make possibly the worst mistake in their franchise history.
Or they're about to make the best decision they've ever made.
We are not talking about the same thing right now.
We're talking about Caleb Williams, we are.
They're talking about drafting Caleb Williams and trading Justin Fields. And you can think what you want about Justin Fields. I mean, I really don't care. I think he's a good quarterback in this league. I think the Bears have just ruined another quarterback. You're telling me the Bears should draft Caleb Williams?
They're going to do one of two things. They're either going to trade down and get a bunch of picks, which I think could be a mistake, or they're going to draft a quarterback that could be, by all accounts, a generational quarterback and one that can take them to the next level where they haven't been for years and years.
He is not a generational quarterback.
Or he might be.
Caleb Williams is not a generational quarterback. Okay. Here's the thing. He's talented, for sure.
It's great in the pocket.
He is the most immature kid I have seen coming into the draft since Ryan Leaf.
He's also the most accurate quarterback coming out of college in many years. Probably since
in what universe? The kid literally looks at one and then goes. The only reason he's accurate is because of how often he takes off.
Well,
he took a team that won a bunch of games the year before to go 7-4 this year. He is not a leader on that team. He is the most immature player I have. He may be more immature than Ryan Leaf.
He's not. And he led the college in offense, and he did it with the only one superstar, and that being Jordan Addison.
You were on my side on this till recently. This is absolutely ridiculous.
I do not defend what he did on the knuckles.
He literally wrote F you, the other team,
yes, I don't,
for his entire college career. That also tells me Lincoln Riley is extremely immature and a terrible coach.
He's 21 or 22.
Okay.
I'll cut him a little slack on that.
This kid literally, after a UCLA game, refused to talk to the media. And he's still in college. What do you think he's going to do in the NFL?
He's going to have to grow up. And I think he has the ability to do it. Here's the reason why I'm saying if I were the Bears, I would do it. Take a look at the last 30 years.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears?
Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
They're quarterbacks. The Packers always have had a good quarterback. The Bears have never had a good quarterback.
It's their own fault.
It is their own fault. This is their one chance to rectify that.
Listen, I understand if you want to go with somebody else, okay? Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I understand those, but you can't look at Caleb Williams with the noise he's already making and just how obnoxious he is being already to think that that's going to be a franchise quarterback. This isn't a John Elway or Eli Manning situation here where they're like, listen, I'm not going to these franchise for XYZ. This is him in college, literally refusing to speak to the media, writing F you the other team on his fingernails, taking a team that was primed to win again and only going 7-4, losing to bad teams.
Let's talk about that 7-4. He lost a lot of those games because they were shootouts, because their defense couldn't stop anybody. If the defense holds the other team to 30 points, 35 points, they win those games. You can't tell me Caleb Williams He throws a
He's
good
talented.
ball. He's very talented.
I'm not denying that.
People are putting him in the Mahomes category. I'm not doing that. And here's the biggest problem that Williams is going to have, and the Bears need to really address. Mahomes got to sit behind Alex Smith for a year. That did him a world of good. Plus, he had Andy Reid coaching him.
He also had the right attitude going in it. You tell me Caleb Williams is going to go into a situation where he has to sit? You're telling me that he'd allow that to happen?
No, it can't happen. In the Bears situation, he's going to be starting day one. They've got to give him the right coaching, but he's got the talent to take them where they haven't been.
He does not have the attitude and the maturity to take them where he needs to go. I'm sorry. Any kid that thinks it's okay to write "F you" on the fingernails against the other team for an entire game on nationally televised games, that's not the quarterback I want.
I put the blame.
And NFL scouts are starting to agree with me. There are NFL scouts that say they wouldn't touch him until the third round as a project.
I'm not arguing that, but I put the blame in that case on bad advisors. His dad can't be in the facility when he ggets to Chicago.
No, he shouldn't be in the facility in USC.
At USC, which, to your point, is on Kiffin. Riley, sorry. It's on Riley, and he's just not managing his talent well. He's got to be a more disciplinarian as a coach.
At the same time, you have a kid who clearly has been a star his entire life, who has gotten tons of money already from these NIL deals, and you have a guy who is, I mean, really, I'm going to be honest, do you want him leading your NFL franchise?
If I'm the Bears, I have to have him leading my franchise.
No, you do not.
Yes, you do.
Justin Fields, who is extremely mature for the way he's handling things and for his age. I can tell you I wasn't that mature at that point. And you're going to go to Caleb Williams, who is writing "FU" on his fingernails towards the other teams?
If I'm Justin Fields, I'm checked out. Send me to Atlanta so I can have a fresh start.
Atlanta,
I think he'd be
Dallas, great. Minnesota.
Not Dallas, not Minnesota. I think he would do the best job in Atlanta, maybe Vegas.
Atlanta's already built. I think they go with Kirk Cousins, but that's beside the point here.
Caleb
I can't
Williams,
believe you are saying that you would draft him.
The Bears are in a
Are you telling? Answer me
yes.
this. Are
if
you
I'm the
telling
Bears,
him
I'm drafting Caleb Williams.
If you are the GM of the Chicago Bears right now, or of any franchise in need of a quarterback right now, honestly, you are going to take that kid who's refusing to do media conversations after college games, who's writing "FU" on his fingernails, who was talking about sitting out of the draft at the beginning of the season when there's still football to play. And make no mistake, that's why they lost those games, is because this kid's been not focused on college football this entire season for no reason. He clearly can't focus on the task at hand. Hasn't seemed to care the entire season. He beat bad teams and then lost to anybody that had any other type of talent. You're telling me that kid you want to lead your NFL franchise? Is supposed to be your leader.
He's gonna be the leader, and the best thing about him is they're gonna get him on a rookie contract. So for the next 5 years, they can build around him.
Okay, what happens when he shows up day one and he's pulling the whole showing up in helicopters things, acting cocky as your NFL quarterback?
I will give you this. The Bears had better do their due diligence, and they had better talk to him and make sure he's on board with everything they expect, including there won't be helicopters. That's the only caveat.
You're going to... This kid has led a very high-profile team for the last 2 years, and they couldn't keep him in check with that stuff. Do you really think an NFL team is going to be able to keep him in check?
I think a team like the Chicago Bears, who
can't develop anybody,
who hasn't developed anybody, but who has to find a way to be relevant, their only choice is to draft
Plus,
Williams.
by the way, this kid is talking about if he's drafted by the Bears, not playing. If you're the Bears, you trade out of that pick. If you can, you trade with Washington, because they want Caleb Williams. That's where Caleb Williams wants to go. Let them suffer the consequences of that pick. And then you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you stick with Justin Fields.
That's one of two options.
Or you can go with Jaden Daniels, although I don't think he's the best one. I think Drake May, out of all these quarterbacks, is the best choice. I don't think there is a solid quarterback in this draft, honestly. The fact that they're talking about 3 of them going, possibly 5 in the first round, 3 in the top 5 is a joke.
Anybody who's going to draft J.J. McCarthy, I think he would be a good project in the 3rd round, but he is so thin. He's 6 whatever and about 200 pounds.
He's a little bit bigger than Bryce Young.
I was going to say, he's a stretched out Bryce Young.
I mean, I just don't see any quarterback in here that makes me look and say that's who I want me leading my franchise. I just don't. I think there's better talent in the NFL available right now than there is in the draft.
The Bears aren't going to get any of those.
No, but they can get Marvin Harrison Jr.
You can, but if I'm the Bears with what I've got going on, I've got to have a quarterback to lead this team.
You have a quarterback.
No, you don't. You got one that you're going to have to pay $25 million at least next year at the end of his rookie contract. I'm resetting that clock.
You can pick up his fifth-year option and make a trade if you want to. They have to decide this year if they're going to pick up the fifth-year option. That's why everybody's saying they have to make a decision. Well, because they do if they're going to do the fifth-year option. You ride it with Justin Fields one more year. You worry about the quarterback the next year. If Caleb Williams is your best option, you don't have a good option.
I think Caleb Williams, if the conversations they have are showing a different side of him, that he has grown up, he has learned from his mistakes, and he's made them.
He's doing the same thing.
He's the best option you have. If you're the Chicago Bears, you have to draft him.
If Caleb Williams is your best option, you don't have an option.
Yes, they do.
This is a mistake.
No, I don't think it is.
It's an absolute mistake. You have to look at maturity levels. You have to look at how people act and how people lead. If this is how he's acting out in public, imagine how he's acting in the locker room.
If I'm a Bears fan, I want Williams on there because he's going to be the most exciting quarterback they've had in decades, even more so than Justin Fields.
You still have no offensive line, so it seems pointless to begin with to even draft a quarterback.
Well, and that's the argument. That's the argument for trading back and getting draft picks. Because if you trade back to number 2 with Washington, you're also going to get 2s and 3s.
Listen, Chicago Bears, you have been granted a gift. You need to use this gift to build your team. Caleb Williams is not the answer. He is going to be a bust. This is Ryan Leaf 2.0.
If you're the Bears, and Bears, if you're listening, your only option is to draft Caleb Williams and roll the dice.
You know who he reminds me of a mix of?
Patrick Mahomes.
No. Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell was the same conversation coming out of college, but his question was maturity, not the talent. And guess what? He got here and didn't do anything. Now, I don't think that's going to be Caleb Williams. I don't.
I think he's going to.
I don't. But the fact of the matter is he clearly has been allowed to get away with stuff, and why he's already gotten millions. It's not like you can hold a paycheck against him. He's already gotten paid in college.
Whoa. Except for the fact that if he comes into the NFL, that first contract is not what you're playing for. He's got to put it up or shut up for the first 5 years.
Kid's already got millions in the bank.
That doesn't matter because you want to be in that top. You want to be Jordan Love, where you're going to get that huge check.
Sure, but I'd rather
you got to prove it.
Again, it's maturity level. You have to know how they're going to be able to handle this, and especially this kid wanting to go to Washington. Any player that worries about where they're going to be drafted concerns me. Now, I understand where that comes
with Eli
from.
Manning?
It did concern me. Why isn't he going to the Giants? But there's more reasons to Eli Manning. Eli Manning didn't want to go to the San Diego Chargers.
Correct.
Because his dad had a problem with their ownership. And guess what? It turned out to be right. It would have been a bad place for him to go. You look at...
That was one of the trades where both franchises actually won.
They did. You look at the John Elway thing.
That's...
His father had a problem with the Israelis. It was his father driving that train.
No argument.
That is why. This is a situation where I don't want to go to the Bears because I want to be in a big market to be able to make money.
Chicago is a huge market.
I understand that. You understand that.
I just think if I'm the Bears, I've got to lock up my next 5 years with a quarterback talent. I'm going to draft Caleb Williams.
It's the worst mistake you can possibly make. Again, and mark my words on this. Look at this tape. I do not see a quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks at least, that is going to make a big dent in the NFL.
With the exception of Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams will not. He is too immature. He's going to have to grow up quick. And listen, he's not going to grow up that fast. He's not. If you're like that, it takes people years to get out of that and to be humbled in that situation. And at that point, he's going to be in his 30s.
Well, the Bears are going to have, hopefully, are doing the back office conversations. And if they take him, he is on board and he's happy and he wants to be a Chicago Bear. And I'll tell you what, being the only great quarterback of the Chicago Bears would be, he would never buy another drink in Chicago. He would own Chicago.
Yeah, he would, but he's not going to be that. If I'm the Bears, I trade back, wait to the second round, draft Michael Penix Jr., and as long as he can stay healthy, he is an actual franchise quarterback. Drake May could be. He has some athleticism questions. don't really need to be athletic. I definitely take Drake May over any of the other quarterbacks in the top 3 right now. Jaden Daniels, I'm not sold on at all. He's had one good year.
He's not Joe Burrow.
He's definitely not Joe Burrow.
Or CJ Stroud.
I'm sold on Caleb Williams' talent. I understand. But to talk about his accuracy like you did in the beginning, he checked one receiver, and if he wasn't open, he ran.
I'm not worried about that because he can
what's
be
the issue you have
to
now?
check down.
What's the issue you have with Justin Fields right now? He doesn't check down, which, by the way, he did at Ohio State. He checked down all the time. It's the Bears offensive coordinator that ruined him this year.
And that's a problem.
And now you have an actual quarterback that's never checked down.
I think he will start. He's got to be taught to check down.
Okay, you're going to start him right away.
Hold on. It's going to be up to the Bears. And if I'm Caleb Williams, here's my thought on this. I'm going to a defensive coach. This is not like going to Mike Tomlin. Defensive coach, who's their offensive coordinator? They've got somebody in place now. If he can work with him, he'll get him around. If he can't, then I understand why Caleb Williams is saying, yeah, trade me. I want to go to, although going to DC with another defensive-minded coach, I don't think would be a great move for him either.
I just wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. You know who he reminds me of? That's the last thing I'm going to say on it. You know the movie The Replacements? The quarterback that came back?
Oh.
Gene Hackman goes, that's not how I coach. And the quarterback goes, well, that's how I play. That's what's going to happen in the NFL.
I don't know.
That's not how I play.
I think
that's the next T-shirt. That's not how I play.
I think Williams has the potential and should be the number 1 pick.
No.
Because I don't think the Bears have any other options.
Mark my words.
All right.
Caleb Williams, with his attitude the way it is right now, will be a bust in the NFL.
Or he will be the next great quarterback.
He won't. I'm calling it right now.
All right.
He will be a bust. I'll apologize 5 years from now if I'm wrong. I won't be. Caleb Williams about to be a bust. On to another quarterback here. What is Russell Wilson doing?
Well, considering Sean Payton down at the Combine said, look, our next quarterback has to be the guy that'll take us to the next level.
Right. They've given up on him.
He's done. He's not staying there.
But for him sitting there to say, now listen, Russell Wilson is very calculated in his speech, but he definitely wants to be the next big thing. That's always what he's focused on. For him to go, and he said this on a podcast where he says, I haven't thought about going anywhere else. Well,
that was a dumb thing to say.
Then
of course
you're not paying attention to what's happening. You're not going to be with the Denver Broncos. If you're not looking at other teams, then what are you doing?
Okay, now let's look at something with Russell Wilson for a minute. His stats over the last 2 years are the same, almost identical to Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Sure.
Who else we got? Matt Stafford.
Can you read that?
Yes, I can.
That's amazing.
He actually has better stats than Matt Stafford. He's still a very viable quarterback. He's got to get in a situation where, like in Seattle, he's playing under control. He's making the rollout passes. He's still a great option for certain teams.
The only reason Russell Wilson was really any good in Seattle was because of that defense. Now, Russell Wilson did play MVP caliber seasons.
He did.
He really did.
He did.
He was a really good player.
He made a horrible mistake in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. He did.
And that could have been, that play never should have been
That was the play call, but he should have optioned
right.
out of that and said, nope, we're not doing this.
He could have done a dozen things, including running in for the touchdown.
Right.
However, if you are Russell Wilson and you're his team around him, where you want to go? I don't know if I thought the Steelers would have been the right choice. I just heard today that the Steelers are pretty much, they still believe in Kenny Pickett.
Well, then they're dumb. His hands aren't big enough. Whopper Jr. hands.
We've had that conversation. We've actually shown that. However, if they really do still believe in them, you're not going to bring in Russell Wilson because you're going to destroy Kenny Pickett and then his career is over.
Yeah, it is.
That's maybe our opinion,
he threw
but
6 touchdown passes last year.
I get it.
That's it.
The point Merrill Hodge made when I was listening to him talk about it was the best thing that happened to him was he could get hurt. He got hurt, was able to watch Mason Rudolph, and he's learned from that.
If your teacher is Mason Rudolph to make you better, nothing against
arguing.
Mason Rudolph, but he's not a starter in this league. So if you're
He
telling
was
me
last year, and he did
that
fairly well.
he had to learn from Mason Rudolph as the quarterback, then he's doomed.
You and I are on the same page. I would not go forward with my franchise with Kenny Pickett, no matter how good a kid he is.
If I'm the Steelers, I'm looking at Kirk Cousins. Everybody's saying Atlanta for Kirk Cousins. I'm saying either Dallas or the Steelers for Kirk Cousins. Here's a question for you. Would Russell Wilson be a good fit in Dallas?
Yes.
Because I don't think Dak Prescott is locked in as the starter.
I think Russell Wilson would give them more options. Some of the same options as Dak, but a little bit more playmaking ability. I think Dak would do well in Denver because I think he and Sean Payton would get along well.
I still think Dak Prescott is best suited in Seattle, but I don't know with the new coach anymore.
We don't know, and that's not. I don't see that happening at this point. They've got to do something. If you're Dallas and you're McCarthy and you roll the dice and bring in Russell Wilson in, you better get to the Super Bowl because you're out at the end of the year, regardless whether it's Prescott or Wilson.
Right.
I could see Wilson still in Pittsburgh, maybe Atlanta, Minnesota. I don't.
I can see Minnesota. What else are you going to do?
It's probably where he's going to end up going.
If you're Minnesota, what else are you going to do?
You got to get.
You have a team ready, built to win right now, but you don't want to pay Kirk Cousins.
Well, and Denver's got to be ready to take an $85 million dead cap hit this season.
Yes.
By letting him go.
And they already decided to do that.
They have.
Gives you a chance to build up the team. You're going to have a high draft pick next year that will actually be yours.
They have. Wilson still has talent. He still has things he wants to accomplish in the league. Like I said, Pittsburgh, Dallas would be a huge trade. That'd be a big trade. That'd be a massive trade.
Because that would be it. You're eating each other's contracts.
Correct. Minnesota,
I could see.
Or, we've talked about Atlanta. I still think Atlanta's going to try to grab Kirk Cousins.
I think that's a really good fit.
Or Justin Fields. Either one.
If they can make the trade, we're going to know that soon. Dallas has to make a decision Chicago has to make a decision real fast.
They do. And I think Dallas does too.
Do you think that Russell Wilson can still be a good quarterback in this league?
I do. Don't forget, he suffered through the Nathaniel Hackett year. So his numbers were atrocious. He actually played pretty well for a period of time this last season.
Yeah, Sean Payton hated him the moment he walked in the room. There were clearly conversations behind closed doors between those two where Sean Payton was not impressed.
He was not impressed when he walked in and found out Russell Wilson had his own office.
Which is fine, but that can be fixed with the conversation between coach and quarterback. There were clearly conversations behind closed doors which made Sean Payton despise Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's not just a dislike.
No, it is. He despises Russell Wilson. I'm not sure what the past tense of despise is. It might be despise, but that's the answer.
Yes, and I don't know what happened either, but there was a falling out. And whatever it was from the jump this year, those two weren't getting along. They found, to their credit, they found a way to kind of fake it and make it for a period of time.
Yes.
Broncos played pretty well for a while, but that's over now.
You have to assume that is over at this point.
We need to make predictions about where we think these quarterbacks are going to go.
Well, let's think about it here. So Russell Wilson makes sense. A lot of people are picking him Minnesota.
Or Pittsburgh.
I haven't heard as much Pittsburgh.
I've heard Pittsburgh, but if Pittsburgh really is still thinking Kenny Pickett is their guy, they're never going to touch him.
Pittsburgh would be a great position for him. You have to look where rookie quarterbacks go as well. I think Russell Wilson's best fit is in Minnesota with that young team, especially with Kevin O'Connell being the head coach and able to.
And Brian Flores is
the defensive coordinator. I think that would make them a dangerous team because Kevin O'Connell is looking for more out of his quarterbacks. But at the same time, Kirk Cousins was an MVP before he got hurt. He was the MVP of the league before he got hurt.
He was having an MVP caliber year. He wasn't guaranteed the MVP, but he was having that kind of...
he got hurt, he was the MVP of the league. It was done. After that Packer game, he was the MVP of the league. He was the front runner. And then
he was a front runner, no doubt, but he got hurt, and now you've got an older quarterback coming off of Achilles.
I think Kirk Cousins ended up in Atlanta. I think that makes sense.
I think Justin Fields ends up in Atlanta.
It depends what the Bears decide to do.
I think the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams, and then they're going to trade.
Kirk Cousins goes to Pittsburgh.
That'd be a great fit.
if I'm the Steelers, that's who I want. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm paying that guaranteed contract and bringing in Kirk Cousins.
You want
He's
2
worth
years
every
out.
penny.
You want 2 years out of him.
You have really good receivers on that team. You have a defense you can't waste. I mean, that's just it with Pittsburgh, right? You can't waste that team.
You can't waste TJ Watt's last couple of years.
No, because he's already starting to get hurt.
He is.
And hopefully he stays healthy. But we all saw what happened to JJ. He started getting hurt, and then they just piled up.
Right.
Which happens to defensive players.
Look, I can see it happening there. I could also see Russell Wilson seems to be a perfect fit in Minnesota, in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I can see it.
How about in New England?
New England's going to go with a rookie quarterback.
I think for a building process, or Washington.
Washington's going to go with a rookie quarterback. Washington, I still think, is going to trade up and get Caleb Williams.
If I'm Washington and I can make a deal for Russell Wilson and still get another quarterback later on that can learn behind him, I think that would be the way to go. Russell Wilson's still a top.
Do you want somebody learning behind Russell Wilson?
Yes, because I think he is definitely a top 12 quarterback right now.
He could be.
And he's got the skills. He's a Super Bowl winner. Yeah, I want him in there. But again, I want his attitude to be not it's all about me, it's all about team.
Right. What I really see in Denver, I think Bo Nix is a perfect fit in Denver. If you're going to make the move, that's a quarterback you go for. And this is a quarterback, by the way, that I think in the combine and on the pro day is going to start moving up the boards.
He could. And that always happens.
Yeah.
I could see if Caleb Williams isn't going to go to any of those, he'll have the pro day at some point.
He's going to the combine, but he is not working out.
He's not working out.
He's not going to do anything.
It'll be a chance for the Bears to have conversations with him.
Yep.
I wonder how long the combine is going to last because more and more teams are not sending their coaches there.
I think it's coming to an end. It was a great kind of get together for interviews and stuff like that. You know, the problem is people actually pay attention to the combine. Like
they do. It's televised.
Viewers pay attention to the combine, and that's why I think it'll stay. I don't think that anybody takes it too seriously anymore, though. I mean, you have those combine stars from the 40s. You get them all together, and it's cool to see the top times versus everybody else. But again, you can have those pro days. More and more people aren't participating. I really don't see teams taking the combine as seriously. It's just a matter of the interviews.
Back when Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders went through there, they were there to make a quick statement and get out.
Yep.
They did. I don't see that anymore.
No, but you do have people that specifically train for the combine.
Yes, the lower draft picks, especially now with
only for them.
With only 7 rounds. And really, I think with NIL, this year only 58 underclassmen are coming out.
Right.
As opposed to the 100 and some that have come out before. You better be good in the top 3 rounds, because the 4th, 5th, and 6th aren't going to be as loaded as they used to be.
You'll still get a lot of talent out of the 4th.
There'll be talent there, but
there's
not
lower school guys that are going to get chances that they might not have before because of underclassmen that I think are going to surprise a lot of people once they get into the NFL.
I hope so.
I mean, you have Kansas tackles that are going to become great guards, things like that. It's going to happen. I have a question for you, and this has nothing to do with sports. I got into an argument with somebody.
Okay.
Do you know what an Oxford comma is?
Where the hell is this question coming from? An Oxford comma?
You know what that is?
Is that one of those commas that goes where no comma should go?
In my opinion, so an Oxford comma, you can see here the definition of an Oxford comma. Basically, you would say Tim, Kyle, Tim, comma, Kyle, comma, and
there is
Jimmy.
No comma after
so you put
and.
The comma before and to separate them out.
Wait a minute. Tim, comma, Kyle, comma, and
Janet.
No, there's no comma before.
I've always been taught that and acts as the comma, but
right.
They're saying there's a whole argument, and I had to ask your opinion on it because I knew you'd be on my side because everybody was against me. You'd say, because you wouldn't have the comma, you'd say, come and meet Janet, an acrobat, and a clown, right? And they said, well, that's how you know Janet is the acrobat and the clown. And I'm like, no, you'd say, Janet, come meet Janet. She's an acrobat and a clown. You put a possessive pronoun in front of that, and it's fine. Because if you just write out, come meet Janet, an astronaut, and a clown, it's you're going to meet 3 different people.
Correct.
If you
Wait
put
a
the
minute.
Oxford comma there and not, it doesn't make a difference.
This is coming from the same people who don't believe in phonics and who don't teach
It was
cursive.
created in 1905. It is
Doesn't-
not really
wait a minute,
taught in
and
schools.
doesn't even do cursive anymore. Don't bring in commas where they don't need to be.
Right. Like you can put it there,
No.
but I don't think it belongs.
If I were grading, as a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I remember distinctly how many circles I have when I had a comma in the wrong place, just like that.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm on the same page with you. It's good to have somebody on my
What the
team
hell?
because I had 5 people arguing with me about Oxford commas, the most unnecessary thing in the world. And the argument was it makes it better. It wasn't even invented until 1905, so that means you're telling me that everything before 1905 was written incorrectly, which just isn't true.
Shakespeare must have
And
been
even
wrong.
schools,
They never
teach-
taught that.
no.
Never.
I heard it once in elementary school. In 4th grade, I'll remember. It was brought up, and my teacher was like, you can use this, but you don't need this.
You can use this, but I'm going to mark you down if you do.
Right.
I knew your
Even
4th
in
grade
schools-
teacher.
Even in schools today, it's optional. They say it's optional. Even in colleges. But I had a bunch of people tell me Oxford commas were necessary to make a sentence structure better, and I'm like, nobody's
No.
ever had any
No.
problems with reading. They're like, it makes it easier. I was like, it doesn't. You need to be intelligent because there's context to the rest of the sentence that would let you know. And if you're really worried that you're going to write, this is Janet, an astronaut, or come meet Janet, an astronaut and a clown, like you just need a possessive pronoun. Come meet Janet, she's an astronaut and a clown. Like now I know she's the astronaut and the clown.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense to do it any other way.
That's almost as big a debacle and as stupid a decision as anyone's made. It's almost up there with Major League Baseball.
It is. You let us know what you think on anything we talked about today, including an Oxford comma. Tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not. Oxford commas are pointless. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it.
My segue was better this time.
It was. You're getting there. I like it.
After last week, I had to redeem myself.
Last week was bad. That was
No.
probably the worst segue in YouTube history, honestly.
It probably was, but so are the uniforms Major League Baseball is expecting their players to wear this year.
Yeah, so in case none of you have been paying attention to baseball,
And if you are, you've been out of the country.
baseball decided to go with new uniforms made by Fanatics, which is
First bad decision because Fanatics does what?
souvenirs.
Souvenir and replicas.
Correct. They made these uniforms and they did it with a fabric. And I can imagine the conversation. Nike went to baseball and said, hey, how would you like to pay 40% less for jerseys? That's what happened. You can see them right here. So the issue is the jerseys are not stitched, which to me is a no-no. That's the jersey
non-starter.
you buy for your kids. They're screen printed numbers, which is not professional at all. That's a softball jersey. And you have see-through pants. For those of you that don't know the type of fabric that you're seeing right here, it's the elastic fabric you have in long underwear or the underwear that you wear where it's really thin, and as you pull it up, it expands to fit all sizes. That is what they're doing with baseball. As you can see through these pants to the point where there was such a malfunction already in spring training that a baseball team had to go and wear their pants from last year.
Yes, because you could see the players' junk when they were on the field.
You can see the jerseys tucked in, which
Yeah.
is weird.
Weird, but when you notice, none of those guys are facing the camera.
Nope.
And there's a reason for that.
You can see right here, Giants player with this area blurred out specifically because they are
Yes.
see-through. Here's the issue you're going to have. This is really thin, so they're going to rip as soon as you slide.
That's not what they're saying. They're saying these are more durable.
And a bigger issue is, what if it rains?
Yeah, my physical therapist was talking about that. She looked at me and went, what if it's a real sunny day? Because these are all inside when they were taken.
Yeah.
And what happens when it rains?
Well, we're seeing real sunny days.
Wow.
And let me tell you, I can see people's legs.
And you know what my big problem with it? They showed the Dodgers. You can see where they pressed the numbers on and back.
Yep.
So now you have a weird crease. But on the front, the Dodgers have always had real clean, really good-looking
Yeah,
uniforms.
the cut was
They
between
broke-
the D and the E.
No, O and the D.
Oh, and the D, sorry.
Now it's right between that second D. It looks
Yeah, you
cheap.
never put anything in between the D.
It just looks cheap. These things are all stop it. These things are all bad. And baseball, by trying to save money, has just cost themselves a lot more money because they either have to go back and wear their old pants from last year.
They're going to have to.
Or you're going to get them new ones.
I mean, this isn't lasting already. This is a big problem. And I don't understand how this could go through even pictures where baseball doesn't look at this and say, we messed up. We got to start this over.
If I'm Rob Manfred, because I don't believe he was involved in the decision. I think it was done below him.
Well, that makes him another terrible commissioner.
But you delegate certain things to certain departments.
You do, but you still have final say on the uniforms.
If I'm Rob Manfred and I didn't know about this, whatever. I'm losing my mind. I mean, he was calm in the press conference.
He defended it.
He had to try to defend it.
He defended the uniforms and say people will get used to them.
He had to try. And that was the stupidest comment. People will not get used to these, Rob.
You need to put little censor bars on national television for a baseball game.
They're going to have to have blur boxes in front of the middle of guys.
I mean, this is crazy. Can you imagine a pitcher in these pants? He is stretching out and leaning down. By the way, that camera's behind the pitcher, and I'm about to see a lot more of that pitcher than I want to see.
What if you're a catcher?
What if you're a catcher?
I mean, my God.
And let's be honest, we've all known players that don't like wearing underwear when they play.
I mean, when I was playing, we all wore those coaches shorts that everybody hates and makes fun of now because they were so short.
Yes.
But they served a purpose. Guys aren't going to wear those.
No.
Most guys today, if they wear anything, it's just boxer briefs or, whatever underwear they wear. And the uniforms, that's not going to fly now. You can't do that. It's awful.
It's going to get real bad.
It's already real bad.
Pitchers are going to get really confused at what numbers are getting called now because there's too much there to look at.
Ew.
Is that a 1 or a 2?
Fortunately, they've got their voice communicators now, which
I just don't understand in a professional baseball league. One, the reason they're not doing stitching is because the fabric is too thin. If I'm Major League Baseball, I'm looking at that immediately and saying, okay,
we're
not doing this.
Right.
Name another Major League professional franchise that has screen printing on their jerseys.
Which shows you why NFL run really great. Baseball continues to shoot themselves in the foot by making these kind of decisions.
And they're literally the only team. These are softball jerseys.
They aren't even good softball jerseys. They're really not.
These pants you just can't wear.
No, look, I always wore sand knit,
I don't know what that is.
It's a heavier material. I never thought they were hot or uncomfortable to wear, even on a 90-degree day. They were just what you wore.
Yeah.
These things would never go on my body. Never.
The baseball players come out and said, yeah, they're a little bit lighter, but it's not like the old uniforms were heavy.
Right, exactly.
You're used to playing in it. If I'm coming up in the major leagues and that's the uniform you give me, you just said your AAA teams now look more professional than you do. Because AAA teams didn't change their uniforms.
With good reason.
So your AAA teams now look more professional. This is the replica jersey you used to buy for $50 to $100 because you didn't want to pay $200 for a game jersey. Now, last year's uniforms are on clearance and are less than these screen printed pieces of garbage they're putting on now.
Well,
how long do you think this is actually going to last?
Until they can get new uniforms made. Here's the problem. You went to it. This is all baseball was thinking of. We can do this cheaper. Nike's selling Fanatics. Fanatics is selling baseball. We can do these. We can do these.
They third-partied this. Nike, baseball has a contract with Nike. Nike went to baseball, found a cheaper way to do it so they can make more profit and not have to make it themselves.
Sure.
Fanatics was more than excited to do it.
They'll take the money all day long. And look what the result is. You have a low softball level uniform for Major League Baseball.
This is embarrassing for softball almost.
It's bad.
At least the pants.
The pants, nobody would wear them. Nobody would wear them in softball anyways. I mean, they wear shorts, but you can't wear those pants because you can't take your kids to watch the game if they are wearing those pants.
Nope. It's going to get interesting real fast. They have to fix this before the Major League season. They can't let this go. It's Rob Manfred, so they can. But you can't let this go into the Major League season. This looks cheap. This looks terrible. I mean, this is
the biggest embarrassment in the last
This is as bad as when they wore all those softball jerseys back in '84. I mean, this is getting to be a nightmare.
You mean the 70s? Well, no.
1984 Cubs.
If you're talking about the
blue
Cubs,
uniforms,
I like those
the
uniforms.
1984 pullover uniforms for the Cubs,
The road uniforms.
the blue ones,
The road uniforms. They still wore their
so bad.
They wore their pinstripes at home. That 84 royal blue with the Cubs
Looked like a
logo on it
tracksuit.
was great.
No,
They're
it
one of
wasn't.
my favorites ever.
It was awful.
And what was bad?
That was the Mickey Mouse Cub.
No, the logo may not be, but I love the jerseys.
I like the logo.
in the
Those blue
70s
uniforms were terrible.
In the 70s, everybody was wearing pullovers and button pants, which is a bad look.
Yeah.
If you're going to be professionals, you wear button ups and you wear a belt.
Here's a better one. This is as big of a mistake as the White Sox when they wore shorts.
No,
Those of you that don't know, you can see the jersey right here.
no, they wore those a couple times. Carlton Fisk, how he caught with those
That's what I'm
things,
saying.
but they aren't as bad because at least they were real uniforms.
Were they?
Yes,
Were they? Put
maybe.
them back up. That is a fake collar
Yes, it
on
was.
those uniforms.
It was.
They look like Donald
Okay,
Duck
I
going on a boat.
I have two words for you.
They're missing a Donald Duck hat.
I have two words. Bill Veck.
That's
That's all I need to say.
That's fair.
Because it was his decision.
It looks real
And-
bad.
And
They're going to fix these uniforms.
yeah,
My question to you is, I went through the uniforms because obviously talking in this, it brings you down rabbit holes. And you and I were sending jerseys back and forth. So this conversation quickly turned into what it normally does, which is something completely different.
of course.
So we need to talk about our all-time favorite uniforms.
We can do that.
So my question to you, let's do top 5 uniforms.
Okay.
What do you say?
All right.
What is your number 5 greatest uniform of all time?
My number 5
He's
is
putting on the cheaters, folks. I see him coming out.
I can actually see it, but I'm going to need it for the last word. The A's in the 1970s, the Charlie Finley A's, where they had the green jerseys or the yellow jerseys.
No.
Yes, they were
No.
classic. The guys all had to have mustaches on that team, by the way. Charlie Finley ordered it, but those were great uniforms. They were
Those uniforms are on both the greatest and worst uniforms of all time.
I've never seen it on the worst.
I have.
Those are great. They're
As
awesome.
long as they're wearing the white pants. Where they screw up is
Yes.
where they go yellow on yellow or green on green.
You
That's
can't-
where it looks bad.
you can't
have
do
to wear the
that.
white pants.
Well, did they even have a color rush back in that day? I never saw them wear yellow on yellow.
They have worn yellow on yellow.
Okay, that's dumb.
You can see right here. Yellow
That's
on yellow.
dumb. But when they wore the green with the white or the yellow with the
The
white,
green with the white I like.
They
Those
were
were the
awesome.
those were the Jason Giambi,
well, they were also in the 70s. Reggie
Mark
Jackson wore
McGuire
those.
ones.
Yeah.
He went away in the 70s too. I like those green ones a lot. That's when I first came into baseball. I love with Oakland written across the front in
Yes.
script. Those were awesome uniforms.
Yeah, that was the Jason Giambi one.
Yes. I like it with the A on it too, but the Oakland written across the front was my favorites. That's my favorite A's uniform of all time.
Okay. What's your number 5?
The Pirates yellow on black jerseys, especially the throwback thing.
We Are Family.
We are family. I love those uniforms. I get people hate them.
Oh, can't.
They've
handle
also done yellow on yellow.
those same
but
uniforms.
Those look bad.
That same year, they actually had pinstripes as well,
Did they?
which is cool. Plus, they had the little pillbox cap with the stripes around them,
Loved it.
and you got Stargell stars.
Yeah, they were great.
They were.
I love. That's when baseball's fun.
Yes.
Was it a gimmick? Yeah. Was it a great gimmick? 110%.
Did it bring that team together so they could win the World Series?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're like, listen, we look ugly, but we're gonna have fun. It made it look like a throwback. Like that's something they would wear in the 1920s. You know, it was great with the black pants. You could even do black on yellow. Wouldn't look as good, but
Right.
yellow on black, yellow jerseys, black.
Right.
Well, yellow jerseys, black pants is what I can't talk. Yellow jerseys, black pants, as you've seen, look great. You couldn't do black jerseys with yellow pants.
That's how they usually did it.
That would look interesting. I like it with the yellow jerseys and the black pants. That is my 5 of all time.
Okay. My number 4, and I'm not a huge fan of the City Connect.
Yeah.
But the White Sox City Connect,
Some of the
are
greatest uniforms
awesome.
of all time.
I mean, their regular jerseys, their regular home ones
Yeah.
are outstanding.
You know what I
But
wish they
there's-
go back to?
The 1918 where they had the sock.
Dude, if
Oh,
I'm
nice.
picking a White Sox jersey, it is the 1918, 1919 Black Sox jerseys where it had the socks on
That
the
was
side.
awesome.
Those were amazing. I get why they don't wear them, but
Okay.
sidebar.
Are we
sidebar.
going down this rabbit hole
Hold
about
on.
the
Sidebar.
Okay.
Sidebar. The 1919 Black Sox were known for gambling, right? Do you know why it happened?
Actually,
it's the story that's not told.
Actually, I do, because Charles Comiskey was the cheapest son of a that ever owned a team.
Son of a motherless goat.
That.
Three amigos. Here's what happened, folks. So if you don't know this is the true story of the 1919 Black Sox, which makes what Judge Landis did even worse in reality. It was a PR move.
Well, they had to stop gambling.
They had to. Judge Landis came in. You can say what you want about him as a commissioner. It was what it was.
More about him as a person than it is.
He's a terrible human being.
Yes, he was.
Judge Landis was an absolutely terrible human being. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, 1919 Black Sox. So what happened was you had a pitcher, I forget his name, but you had a pitcher who was, if you won 30 games that year, would have gotten a $10,000 bonus. Now, back in 1919, $10,000 was a lot of money. In 2024 money, I think that's $1 billion, which how expensive things are.
Not $1 billion, but it's up.
But it's like $500,000
Yes,
today.
it is.
It was a lot of money. So you have this giant bonus. Comiskey made it. He had 29 wins with 2 weeks left in the season. Comiskey ordered his manager to not pitch him for the rest of the season. The pitcher went to go and say, hey, I should get my $10,000 bonus. Comiskey goes, well, you didn't get to 30 wins. And would not pay him his bonus, even when the player was like, hey, I would have. You wouldn't let me pitch. You said it was for the playoff run. I should get this money. And Comiskey refused to pay it. And so the bookies came up to him and his pals who were also pissed. Do you know how much he got paid for throwing that World Series? $10,000. He got his bonus. So you can say what you want. The gambling is wrong. The ends does not do the means, whatever that phrase is. Justify the means. I can't believe I forgot that. The ends does not justify the means. I understand that completely. But he did it to get back at the owner. You're not going to pay me $10,000. Then screw you in your World Series. And unfortunately, shoeless Joe Jackson got thrown in the middle of it.
He did.
But that is what actually happened. So bring back that jersey, because I love the jersey.
It's a great jersey. I love that one. My number. You're number 4. You're 4.
So my number 4 is. Listen, the Blue Jays can do no wrong with jerseys, except when they had the old 1980s where you had the blue pullover jersey where right in the middle was the bird with Blue Jays over the top. Those were ugly. Those were terrible jerseys. However, in the 80s, they had another jersey, which is the powder blue jersey. They did it as a throwback, as you can see right here. They need to go to white pants, but the top jersey is amazing with the Blue Jay on the side, Blue Jays across, and the font it's in. That is one of my all-time favorite jerseys.
There were so many teams in the 80s that had Robin's Egg blue road jerseys.
I mean, everybody did.
Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto,
St. Louis.
Kansas City, St. Louis. They all had it. It just was, that was the thing.
Kansas City is probably my honorable mention. They're not on my list, but the Kansas City Robin Eggs blue are an honorable mention.
And they've kept them forever.
Yes.
So kudos to them, and the Phillies have as well. And of the Robin's Egg blue,
the Phillies just brought back their old powder blue.
And they had zip-ups rather than the pullovers, which was classy.
No,
I don't have them on my list, but those were great uniforms.
Yes. So that is my number 4. What's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is my favorite team. It's the 69 Chicago Cubs pinstripe jerseys.
Those are great.
They were great. And I love the logo they had on the sleeve because it's not the one with the circle. It was just the Cubby Bear face.
Yes.
It was the first team I fell in love with. I still love them to this day.
My second favorite Cubs logo.
Besides the bear coming through, which is awesome.
It's the greatest logo in baseball.
I don't know about that, but that's my number 3 because I love the Cubs and their pinstripes have been great.
Ernie Banks jerseys, Ryan Sandberg jerseys.
Exactly.
Not Ryan Sandberg.
Right, Sandberg.
Ron Santo.
Ron Santo, yes.
I've been screwing them up all week. We've been talking about Cubs, and I keep screwing those two up for no reason. They didn't even play the same position. Those were great uniforms. I'm not going to lie there. My number 3 is a tie. I couldn't pick between the two. It is the Dodgers and the Yankees home jerseys. The Dodgers are classic. You can say they're number 1. I don't care. They're not. But they are my number 3. Dodgers, Yankees tied for number 3.
I can go with it. I like that because
they're classic. They've never changed except for they went with
this
satin.
year. Well, yeah, the Dodgers blue satin, but that was war era.
Yeah.
But now, of course,
this year doesn't count.
They changed the white on the Dodgers uniform. Sorry.
Well, no, they didn't change the white on the Dodgers uniforms.
Yes, they're darker now.
You can just see through the pants.
Okay.
I actually looked at that. I was like, did they really go with darker white on the pants?
did.
No, you can just see through
Okay,
that.
fine. Whatever. Okay, my number 2
Number 2.
is the current St. Louis Cardinal alternate Sunday jerseys with the birds on the bat and the script ST and then Lewis.
Yeah.
Love those. They're great. You can hate them if you want,
I
but
don't hate
the
them.
Cardinals jerseys
They're classic.
They're one of probably the most iconic jerseys in sports.
I agree. It's a great logo,
Doesn't mean I have to like the Cardinals,
but I keep
can
them off my list on principle.
Ugh. Okay.
No, I didn't include them in there. It is a good choice, though. That'd be another honorable mention for me. There are better uniforms, in my opinion.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Number 2, the Phillies powder blue, especially the throwbacks they did this year.
Yeah.
They are great uniforms.
Those are the Mike Schmidt, the Pete Rose, the
Yes.
1980 World Series Tug McGraw.
And now the Bryce Harper, because they are bringing
Yeah,
it back full time
they're great.
again this year.
They should.
They are it was hard for me not to pick them as number 1. Like those, it's a great uniform.
I got to be honest with you. Those and the Milwaukee Brewers with the ball and I don't know why they ever went away from the ball and glove.
I don't know.
It's the classic logo.
Bud Selig again doing
Would you
stupid things in baseball.
Stop it. But I love their pinstripe uniforms. I don't have them on my list, even though I love the
Brewers
logo.
pinstripe uniforms.
Well, I like their hat. I actually am not a big fan of their current uniforms. And,
No, I'm not
I
either.
don't think they should have went to Navy. I think they should have just kind of kept it as
I agree.
the royal
Just
blue.
go back to the 80s jerseys. It's the
Yeah.
last time you were actually relevant.
Were we? Yeah, we got to the World Series.
You got 2 World Series. Didn't win one. Celebrate them like they did. But we've been through this.
That's all I got. And there's a I'm going to go because I did have a tie at number 2 as well. It's the Atlanta Braves Tomahawk jerseys. Those are outstanding. Even back when they were the Milwaukee Braves, love those jerseys. So I had to go with a tie.
That's fair. Who's your number 1?
My number 1. You're going to love this. He's about to go nuts, folks. The greatest uniforms in the history of man are the 1970s Houston Astros.
Gross.
Love those uniforms
Gross.
with
The
stripes
rainbow
on the
uniforms?
the rainbow, orange, and whatever
Gross.
stripe. They're
Gross.
awesome. No, they are the best.
Gross.
The J.R. Richard Houston Astros.
Gross.
Love them.
They are ugly.
No, they are.
They look like road rash.
That's an interesting way to
It's
put that. But
terrible. It looks like they were in a terrible accident.
No.
Those are awful. Those are just as bad as the White Sox red ones, where they had socks across the front,
That
white
was
and the
just awful.
black.
Oh, those were.
There's no difference between
there
those
is.
and the Astros jerseys. These should be number 1 on the worst all-time list.
Well, they probably will be on some.
You're
have
not
them-
the only one
I have them
who
on the
likes
best.
these.
No.
I hate. They are hideous.
No, they're not.
These are worse than the Astros 90s uniforms where they had that star above the Astros.
Those were bad. But you know the one that was really, I may even like them better, when the Astros were called the Colt 45s and they had the
Yeah.
gun underneath and the smoke came out before the scene. Those were awesome.
Those were awesome.
But the Houston Astros of the 70s, J.R. Richard were one of the greatest pitchers of all time at that time. So
Okay.
sadly suffered a stroke. Like while
Probably
he was
from looking
playing.
at those uniforms.
No. Great uniforms. What's your
That
number
was
1?
dark, and I don't care. Those are terrible. Why do you keep including these in your best list? Anytime we have a conversation, I knew it was coming. The more we came down the list, I'm like, there's no way. Once we got past 3, I was like, okay, he's not including the Astros on this list then. And then you said that. I'm like, there's no way he made them number 1.
What's your number 1?
My number 1, you can call me biased if you want.
Oh, my God.
These are the greatest uniforms of all time. It is the Cubs road jerseys, the blue with the C with the Cub. You can see behind me. You can't because I'm at a different camera angle here. But it is the greatest logo in baseball history. These are the best uniforms. Thank you, John Lester, for bringing them back because they were going away. I don't know why they wear the grays.
They
The
should
Cubs' gray road jerseys are some of the worst jerseys of all
Yeah,
time.
they just have Chicago in
They're
black.
gray
I
on
don't like
gray.
'em.
Some people love them. I think that they're hideous.
I've never met anybody that loves them.
I met one person.
Well, they're wrong.
Yes. It's like, okay, you deal with gray skies enough in Chicago. Why do you want a reminder of that with the baseball team's jerseys? Wear the blue jerseys with white pants. They look great. You could wear the blues with the pinstripe.
I'd like to
pants
see them
that
do
they
that
have.
on Sundays.
Oh, I love it. Wear it at home. It's better than their pinstripes. The pinstripes
No.
are great and they're classic. I love them. Don't get me wrong. Definitely a better jersey. I want to see the pinstripes go away from the Cubs to see what the UBS in
Oh, I
middle
love that.
and put the Cubby Bear on it.
No,
I love it too. The Cubby Bear's better logo. The Blues, those should be their road jerseys of all time. Carlos Zambrano wore those. Lester brought them back. It's the only one he chose to wear. That is the greatest uniform in baseball history.
okay.
It's definitely not the Astros.
It's either the Astros or the 84 Cubs road jersey.
No, those are also. Why do you like ugly things?
I don't like.
Listen, both of those are from the 80s.
No.
Nothing good fashion-wise
No.
came from the 80s.
No, the Astros were the 70s
Okay.
and then the 80s.
Yeah. Nothing good fashion-wise came from
Baseball
that
should
time.
never go back to pullover jerseys.
No. They don't have to. They're going to screen print jerseys.
Yeah, they've got
Apparently,
those.
baseball's decided to be less professional. You let us think what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. You and those stupid Astros jerseys. I'm so upset right now. I'm trying to move on, and I don't even want to give you this last word because you have terrible taste. Those
I
are
did not.
so bad. Unfortunately, I have to say in this situation, you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word. It is all you.
First of all, I want to acknowledge that I love Bob Costas. He's won 29 Emmys and is probably the most knowledgeable baseball historian we have living today. I love his commentary on sports. He, of course, is entitled to his opinions on politics, just like every American is. But I really don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear him talk about the current presidential election any more than I want to hear Al Pacino or Taylor Swift talk about it. They're brilliant at what they do, but it doesn't mean their opinions, and that's what they are any more viable than yours or ours are. When you come here to watch this show, you want to see Kyle and I talk about sports, and you want to hear us talk about funny things that happen in our family. As for Bob Costas, he's openly criticized over half of Americans right now. Our country is as divided as I've ever seen it. Their political opinions are theirs, Bob. Let them have it, and you should respect it, not tell them that they're dumb for voting for somebody you don't like. Your opinion, in the end, may just be wrong. Let history figure that out. In the end, please, Bob, stick to sports, just like we're going to do going forward. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and sports don't mix with politics. They just don't mix. Please keep your commentary to what you know best and what we love to hear you talk about. On a lesser note, I also want to wish Cassie and Ryan happy birthday this week. We have 2 birthdays in our family. My daughter Cassie and my son Ryan have birthdays this week. And to all the fans and the people who have supported our show, we are at 99,600 subscribers.
We're getting close. I do just want to say that, you know how you said you shouldn't talk politics
Right.
in the show? Well, technically what you just did was talk politics on the show by talking about somebody else talking.
Yeah, but I told them to
Politics
not talk about
on
it.
the
Somebody
show.
had to call them
I
out and
just
say,
wanted
don't talk about it.
Just wanted to point that out.
I had somebody tell me I was talking politics when I was talking about boys competing in women's sports. That's not sports.
I mean,
That's not politics. That's just right and wrong.
I'm going to leave it as it's your last word, and sometimes the pot calls the kettle black. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.